morning, everybody. Welcome, and it's so nice for us to be in Korea. It's one of our favorite places to visit. We just flew in from Tokyo last night. Thank you for taking time off on your Saturday to be with us today. I wanted to mention that my name was originally on the billing, but my wife, Kathy, who's also co-author of all of our materials, is in town for the Kotisol event, and they were kind enough to let her come on over this morning to present with me. So Kathy and I will be able to present together. And she moves around a lot more than I do, so you'll have a lot of fun. Okay, so we're going to get started actually with a little bit of a warm-up. It's Saturday morning, and we want to get you moving. So Kathy will take over.
Okay, I can see you all have your tables up. So can you scoot out of your seats and stand up, please? Get your shoulders moving a little bit. Shoulders, move your elbows a little bit. We're going to move our knees a little bit. We're going to move our feet. So this is a song that my students love, and I apologize in advance if you hear this song at night because it will stick in your head. So the first part you're going to do is this. It goes, skeleton, skeleton, skeleton dance. Move your shoulders to the skeleton dance. When you're ready, sing along with me. Skeleton, skeleton, skeleton dance. Move your shoulders to the skeleton dance. Part two goes to the front, to the back, to the side, side, side. That's the part my kids love the best. To the front, to the back, to the side, side, side. To the front, to the back, to the side, side, side. And my little kids will go to the front, to the back, to the side, side, side. Do it with me. To the front, to the back, to the side, side, side. To the front, to the back, to the side, side, side. The third part, we're going to go up and down and around. Put your shoulders up, put your shoulders down. Move them up and down and all around. Put your shoulders up, put your shoulders down. Move them up and down and all around. And the last part, you can dance your shoulders any way you want. Shoulders dance. Shoulders dance. We're going to repeat it then using your elbows and using your knees and using your feet. Okay, are you ready? Okay, check music, please. Listen. Shoulders. Skeleton, skeleton, skeleton dance. Move your shoulders to the skeleton dance. Skeleton, skeleton, skeleton dance. Move your shoulders to the skeleton dance. To the front, to the back, to the side, side, side. To the front, to the back. Wow, you're doing great. Put your shoulders up, put your shoulders down. Move them up and down and all around. Put your shoulders up, put your shoulders down. Move them up and down, all around. Shoulders dance. Shoulders dance. And listen. Move your elbows. Skeleton, skeleton, skeleton dance. Move your elbows to the skeleton dance. Skeleton, skeleton, skeleton dance. You guys are great. Do the skeleton. Nice singing. To the front. To the side, side, side. To the front. To the back. To the side, side, side. Up. Put your elbows down. Move them up and down and all around. Elbows up. Put your elbows down. Move them up and down and all around. Elbows dance. Elbows dance. Listen. Your knees. Skeleton, skeleton, skeleton dance. Move your knees to the skeleton dance. Skeleton, skeleton, skeleton dance. Move your knees to the skeleton dance. To the front. To the side, side, side. To the front, to the back, to the side, side, side. Put your knees up. Move them up and all around. Balance. Put your knees down. Move them up and down and all around. Knees dance. Knees dance. And listen. listen. Feet. Skeleton, skeleton dance. Move your feet to the skeleton dance. Skeleton, skeleton, skeleton dance. Move your feet to the skeleton dance. To the front, to the side, side, side. To the front, to the back, to the side, side, side. Put your feet up, feet down. Move them up and down, all around. Put your feet up, down. Move them up and down and all around. Feet dance. Feet dance. Okay, and everybody make a pose. Hold it. Woo! Wow, great job, everyone. Have a seat, please. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Kathy. Okay.
Do you feel alive now? If you didn't have your coffee, that was a great way for us to get started.
It's as good as coffee. Okay. All right. The title of our workshop today is How the 21st Century Primary Classroom Can Boost Motivation, Participation, and Language Fluency. All of us have the same goals for our young learners. We want our students to be motivated in the classroom. We want them to be focused. We want them to work together, and we want them to use English meaningfully. How can we do that in our primary classroom? That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to provide a variety of activities today that will show you how we can bring 21st century skills into the classroom and use them in ways that get students talking meaningfully. We're going to be using examples from Everybody Up 2nd edition, our new course from Oxford. And in your handouts, you should have 4 sheets that we have included. It's toward the beginning of the booklet that you received. So you can refer to that as we move through the workshop, okay? Great. So let's get started. As we said, we're using Everybody Up as our example. There's Julie Gold singing away. We're going to skip that since we did skeleton dance. But we want to make sure that you all have 3 sticky notes in your handout. You should be able to see 3 sticky notes. You're going to be using those. As well as a rectangular sheet of paper. And hopefully you have something to write on if you have a pen or a pencil. Okay? Very good. Thanks. Okay, so we're ready to get started.
We are ready.
This is our Everybody Up global team. Everybody Up was written by a team of writers. Patrick Jackson from Ireland. He's also the author of Potato Pals. And below, you can hardly see her, but Susan Banham-Salisi, living in Brazil. And then Kathy and I. It was a great team, and we've worked together very closely to try to bring some really fun activities into the classroom for you. Okay, so our focus today is what can we do to help our young learners become fluent? When we talk about fluency among young learners, it doesn't mean perfect English. It means getting our students to use English naturally, to respond naturally in English. How can we get them to do that, to get the language out of the textbook and into the classroom? That's what we're going to focus on today. Okay. Kathy.
Okay. In our classroom, how many of you teach like a small group of children, like 5 or less in your classroom? Great. How many of you teach bigger classes, like 25 or 30 kids? Big class? Okay. I teach both. I have some classes with a few students and some classes with a lot of kids. And I have to manage finding partners. Because sometimes it's like, oh, Chuck is my best friend. So I want them to meet many friends. So right now, in your seats, can you touch elbows with somebody that's close by you?
Touch
so
elbows.
it says, find a friend before I can count to 10. Can you say this with me? Find a friend before I can count to 10. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Does everybody have a partner?
Do you have an elbow partner?
Elbow partner?
If
It
you
might
don't-
be that you have to look behind you or in front of you.
Right.
So does everyone here have a partner? Are you ready? Yes? Okay.
Sounds
Super.
good.
Next. Sometimes it gets noisy. When we have a modern classroom, it gets noisy. So we say this. I say, hands on top. You say, that means stop. That means stop. Let's practice. Hands on top.
That means stop.
Great. So before you can use that with your students, you have to practice it. And then you look, everybody quiet. Next one. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. You say, 1, 2, Eyes on you. Ready? Your turn. 1, 2, eyes on you. Okay, I'll go first. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me.
1, 2, eyes on you.
Perfect. So we practice those with our students before we start. And sometimes when we finish, we do the peace and quiet signal. So peace, quiet. And then we look around. Is everybody quiet? Perfect. Okay, last of all, when we do something great, we like to celebrate. So this is our celebration chant. It goes like this. We did it. We did it. We did it today. We did it. We did it. Hip, hip, hooray! Again, we did it. We did it. We did it today. We did it. We did it. Hip, hip, hooray! Good job, everyone. Thank you. So we'll be using these throughout our presentation today.
And the reason we do is because when we're getting our students working together, they can get noisy. And it's good noise because they're working together and they're motivated to work together. But we need to get their attention sometimes. So thanks, Kathy. That's great. Okay, we need to discuss briefly what 21st century skills entail. Some of you may be familiar with them. We often look at them as the 4 C's: critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. We use all of those skills in our classroom, in our primary classrooms, to get kids to use English meaningfully. Okay? So let's look at each one. They prepare students for success in the future. That's the whole point of 21st century skills. Preparing students to think critically and creatively, to be able to work together collaboratively, and to be up for all the changes that take place in our world today. Critical thinking is thinking deeply about information. It's making sense of information. It's not just memorization of information, but doing something with it. Understanding what it has to do with our own lives. Comparing it to what else we know. So this is critical thinking. Categorizing, seeking out patterns, problem solving, all involves logic, rational, critical thinking. We want to build that in our students, and the great news is that as we do that, they build English in the process.
Another thing we want to build in our students is creativity. Can you say that with me? Creativity. Creativity. With creativity, we want our students to use their imaginations. What could it be like? We want them to think of many possibilities. So we use things called brainstorming. What are the many possible ideas we could use? We want them to take what they already know, apply those ideas to come up with new ideas, and then to decide which ideas are the best ideas, to evaluate their ideas. Sir Ken Robinson, how many of you are familiar with Sir Ken Robinson? He's a guru in creativity, and he says, my contention is that creativity now is as important in education as literacy, and we should treat it with the same status. So when you're working with your students in your classroom, it's important to start building creative thinking into your lessons. Because if we're going to solve problems of the future, we need students who can think outside the box about some of those problems and provide solutions.
Some of you may be familiar with Bloom's Revised Taxonomy. It's a scale of thinking skills. And as you can see, we move from the lower order thinking skills up to the higher order thinking skills. As you can see, lower order thinking skills involve memorization, remembering and comprehension, understanding information. When we work with young learners and we introduce content, when we introduce new words, new ideas, the first step is remembering and understanding. But we want to move our students beyond that. We want to get them to use that information in a critical way. We want them to apply it to their own lives, analyze it, evaluate it, make sense of it, and finally create with it. So this is the process that takes place in 21st century thinking. And as we approach every activity in our classrooms, we should be challenging ourselves to think, how can we get students to think more deeply about this content?
Another thing we like to have our students do is to collaborate. Collaborate is when students are working together. Can you show me collaborate? Collaborate. Students are working together. So as you can see on your right-hand side, this is a group of very young learners, and they just had to set up ABC cards, and they were all mixed up. And their goal was to put them in a sequence from A to Z, working together. So they had to figure out how were they going to do it. I didn't give them any instructions. On the left, the people are coming up with a hand clapping pattern. This was in like a PE setting that they were working on that. But people working together.
The final skill, and it's not the final skill, it's the overriding skill, is communication. As our students think critically and creatively, as they work together, we want them to be using English meaningfully. And we do that in baby steps with our young learners, but it grows and grows so that our students are communicating in English. We provide the vocabulary, the grammar, the prompts they need to be able to work through and talk about the things that they want to talk about. In the process, fluency is developed through all the 4 skills. Okay, so let's get moving, roll up our sleeves, and see how we can do this. What are some practical ways we can do this in our classroom? So this is from Everybody Up, 2nd edition. As you can see, it's from, well, Everybody Up 1 is level 1, so it's our very young learners. We're introducing vocabulary. As you can see in the top left-hand corner, we have 6 vocabulary words. And it's a lexical set. It's a group of animals: monkey, elephant, tiger, bear, kangaroo, and penguin. The lower order thinking skills come first. We want to make sure our students understand these words. They know how to pronounce them. They know what these words mean. Activity B in Everybody Up always gives students a chance to use those words in a meaningful way. They hear the students talking about it, and we can assess their understanding of it through that activity. Later on, they're going to be putting it into a grammar phrase as well, and we'll talk about that. But let's just look at vocabulary. How can we get students to think critically about vocabulary? So this is what we'll do today.
So let's practice.
Find
Do
a
you
friend.
remember? Find a friend.
Find a friend before I can count to 10.
1,
Find a
2,
friend, everybody.
3, 4,
Elbows
5,
linking.
6, 7, 8, 9. I have a friend. Show me, elbow to elbow. This is where you as a teacher needs to scan your classroom to make sure there's not one child who doesn't have a partner.
In all of our collaborative activities, we have partners, and those partners often then move into small groups, and then we go to a whole class activity. So this is essential today. Find a friend, okay? Good.
And I think it's really important for us as teachers to always look out for that one student. There's that one student who maybe has a difficult time getting along with the other children. So to make sure that they mix up and they have different partners each time.
Okay, let's get
so we're
started.
ready. So let's look at these 6 words. Let's say them together. Monkey.
Monkey.
And elephant.
Elephant.
Tiger. Bear. Kangaroo. Penguin.
Penguin.
And of course, with very young learners, we might be monkeys and elephants, right? But we're going to keep moving on. Let's imagine that we've done that. We can do this activity with any kind of vocabulary set. Okay, you have your sticky notes. Can you find your sticky notes?
Each of you should have 3.
Okay, we have 6 words and we have 2 people. So each person is going to write 3 words. You're going to write 1 word on each post-it note. So one person can write the top 3 words and the other person can write the bottom 3 words. Do you follow what to do?
So the 2 of you should have
So
the 6
one
words.
person writes the top 3 words, and you can just spread them out so you're ready. If you had picture cards, your students could use the picture cards, but you're going to write one person. So you need to say, I'll write the top 3 words, I'll write the bottom 3 words. Talk to your partner. Which one are you going to do? Talk to your partner. I'll write the top 3 words, I'll write the bottom 3 words.
So we're already getting writing practice for our young learners, right?
And you can stick them onto your handout so that you can see them. They're sticky, so we can move them around.
Can you raise your hand if your words are ready? If you and your partner have the 6 words ready?
Can
Hands
you
up.
show me?
Good. You're all ready? Okay.
Perfect.
Good.
Perfect.
All right.
You have 1 word on each post-it note.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay, with your partner, we're going to put these into A, B, C order, alphabetical order. Can you put the alphabet for us, Chuck? So here's the alphabet. It's not kind to our students not to give them a little support. So with your partner, look at the beginning letter and figure out which word is first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. You need to put your 2 sets of words together. And when you're finished, hold it up and show us.
for practice, your students can go monkey,
Monkey.
elephant.
All 6 words together. So show us with your partner. You put them all together.
As the teacher, your job is to move around the classroom as your students are doing this to make sure they're on task, right? Some students may have difficulty. You assist them. Doing a great job. Wonderful. Good.
Super. Show me. Show me. If you have a big class like this, this is the strategy. Hold it up so we can see. Wow, great job, you guys.
Great job.
Super, but this is only one step. We have more ways to do this.
Okay.
Okay, did you want to?
Yeah, and what we might normally do is we want students to produce the language, right? So I might go up to one of my students and say, can you read the words in alphabetical order for me? Okay, so could you do that?
Bear, elephant, kangaroo, monkey, penguin, tiger.
Thank you. Did everyone agree with that? Did you have the same order?
Give her a thumbs up if you had the
Thumbs
same.
up.
Yes.
Now,
great
what
job.
we're doing here is we're getting students to produce it, and then I could ask the entire class, let's say it together, and then we say the 6 words together. But as the first student says it, the others are listening, and they're comparing it to what they've written. Okay? So we're engaging them, and we're using those listening and speaking skills immediately. All right, Kathy.
Let me see it. Oh, yes. Perfect.
Okay.
So, did you have the same order? Yes. Great.
Good.
So we can read it and we can listen to it. Okay, let's see what's next. So now we're going to think about the size of the animals. We're going to think about which animal do we think is the smallest animal? Which animal is the biggest? Now don't start yet because I want to give you some language to help you. If you are comparing two animals, we can say, I think the bear is smaller than the elephant. If we're comparing all the animals, I can say, I think the penguin is the smallest. So if you're comparing two, use smaller or bigger than. And if you're comparing all of them, use smallest and biggest. Okay, begin.
Begin, please.
I think this one is smaller. Whoa, that was beautiful.
There may be more than one right answer.
Wow.
Some of you may have different answers based on your own experience.
Which one do you think is the smallest out of all of these? Which one do you think is the smallest, and which one do you think is the biggest? Would you like to ask?
Okay, we're speeding this up obviously because we don't have a lot of time. This is an entire class you might want to be doing these activities in. But I would also ask one of my students to give a list from smallest to biggest. The rest of you listen to see if you agree, okay? Can you list those, can you name the animals from smallest to biggest?
Penguin, monkey, kangaroo, tiger, bear, elephant.
All right, did
Who had
did
this?
some of you have the same order? If you did, raise your hand.
Did you have the same order as
Right.
them?
Some of you might have a different order. In that case, I would invite you to tell us that order. And then we have opportunities to think about it. In what ways could a monkey be smaller than a penguin? Or a penguin be larger than whatever, okay? So this gives us opportunities to explore information with our students, to talk about it, and to add new vocabulary and grammar in the process. Okay,
And
so
it's
great
wonderful
job.
because we analyze, why do you think the monkey is bigger or smaller than the penguin?
Okay, good. Great job.
Okay, now we're going to think about syllables. Syllables, when I want to figure out the syllables, I'm looking at how many parts to the word. For example, bear, let's clap it. Bear. Elephant. Kangaroo. Monkey. Penguin. Tiger. So now you're going to have to put them into groups. which group has one syllable? Which words have two syllables? Which words have three syllables? This is really helpful for doing things like writing music or writing poetry. So make your groups one syllable, two syllables, three syllables. And if you need to clap, practice clapping. It's really good for your kids. Penguin, kangaroo.
Monkey.
When you're done, please hold up. We've finished. We put them into our three groups.
Oh, beautiful. I see.
Wow, look
Thank
at
you.
that.
Great. Yes. Okay. This is perhaps what you would have.
Did you have something like this?
One
Bear,
syllable.
one syllable. Tiger, monkey, penguin, two syllables. Kangaroo, elephant, three syllables. So you can do these activities with any set of words. We're just using this set of animals as an example, but this is a fun way to use those.
Exactly. So what we're doing is students are able to produce the words, right? But it's not just repetition. Repeat after me, elephant, monkey, kangaroo. They're
Right.
using it meaningfully, right? So they're producing the language, they're talking to each other about it, and by the time this class is over, they're going to really have some knowledge about these animals, and they're not going to forget the names easily. Okay, good.
So there are other ways that we can think about grouping words. We might think about how many letters are in each word. We might think about the number of legs each animal has and put them into those sets. A richer experience might even think about the biomes. What are the different biomes, the places that the animals live? Is it a rainforest? Is it in the ocean? Is it in the desert? Where do the different animals live? And that would be a higher level activity for our students.
Exactly. Good.
Wow, you did it! We did it! We did it! We did it today! We did it! We did it! Hip, hip, hooray! Give your partner a high five. Thank you,
All
partner.
right.
Woo, good job.
Great job, everyone. Okay, let's move on. There's more to do. Now, this is from everybody up level 2. This particular vocabulary theme focuses on school subjects, something our students can relate to immediately. So, as usual, we introduce 6 new vocabulary words. We have science, art, math, PE, music, and social studies. 6 subjects from school. As usual, once the students have been taught the meaning, the pronunciation of these words, what they represent, then we assess them through a type of listening activity where students talk about the subjects and students number accordingly. So that's just to make sure that the comprehension is in place. Now, once we've done that, we then introduce a grammar model in which we can put in the vocabulary. In this particular lesson, the grammar model is his favorite subject is, her favorite subject is, followed by the subject. Okay? So that's going to be the focus. So imagine that we've moved through this lesson, and we're going to, at least through the vocabulary, right? And let's see what we can do with the vocabulary first. All right, so in your handout, you will see that we have the 6 school subjects listed across. Okay, you should have this in your handout. Below that, you will see a list of classroom items. Your job with your partner is to determine which school subjects might use these items. For example, a globe. Do you all know what a globe is, right? Where might students use a globe? Can you give me some examples? What subjects? Science. Anything else? Social studies. Anything else? Pardon me? Art. Okay. Anything else? This is where critical thinking also kicks in. Well, music, if we're studying world music, musicians from various countries. So students could really get into using a lot of this. So basically, we're getting them to think critically about the subjects that need this. Not only the obvious ones, social studies, music, and science were great examples, as well as art. So your job with your partner is to take these 8 items and to just put down 2 or 3 subjects, 1 or 2 or 3 subjects that these items might be used for. Kathy, can you demonstrate these?
So I brought, well,
What did you bring?
I didn't bring everything because there was not enough room in the suitcase.
Okay.
But I brought my jump rope.
Jump rope?
I'm not going to jump because that's not a very good jump rope. And I brought my magnifying glass.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know this? Magnifying glass. And Gosh, Chuck, remember when we came from Haneda?
We were stopped
They
at...
stopped us and they said, "What's that metal tube in your suitcase?"
Yeah.
And so I had to play this at Haneda Airport.
Yeah.
So this is called a slide whistle. Have a listen. So it's called a slide whistle. Perhaps you already know what a ruler is. The triangle. Paintbrush. I brought my easel today, but paintbrush. So think about with your partner where you might use these items. Think about it critically and creatively. There might be more than one subject area that uses that item.
Now keep in mind, when we do an activity for our students, we need to give them some guides to talk, so they need to know what to say. So the grammar model we use for this is, we use a blank in blank class. We use a globe in art class. So once students know what to say, then we get them into pairs. So with your partner, use this language, okay? So practice that and come up with some ideas. Why don't you just take 1 minute to do that for us, okay?
So talk to the same partner. In our class, we would mix up partners, but I think because you're seated so comfortably, we'll keep the same partner. Okay, talk to your partner. Begin.
Once again, the teacher moves around the classroom to assess and to support the students.
You guys were fast. Great ideas. Have a question? Okay, good. You were face together. Thank you. Good.
Okay, I'm seeing some great examples here. Wow. Okay, go ahead, Kathy.
Hands on top.
That means stop.
1, 2, 3. Eyes on me. 1, 2, eyes on me. Perfect. Peace and quiet. Perfect. Good job.
Great job, everybody. Now, what I would normally do as a teacher is, again, I would invite individual students to give suggestions. We use a slide whistle in music class, and then we would invite other students. Do you agree? Or are there any other classes? So we turn it into a class activity. We get individuals to start talking about their results, okay? So once again, English that's used meaningfully. I apologize, we did not have that little grammar paradigm up in your handout, so if you want to write that for your future classes. We use a blank in blank class. Okay? Okay,
And
well done.
I just want to mention too, I think it's really important to bring real items into your classroom. So if you have any realia, bringing the ruler or a globe, I think that's important to our students. Even older students, it's important to use that.
Exactly. Remember the grammar model, what his favorite subject is, her favorite subject is. So we're going to expand that and use the pronoun yours. So what's your favorite subject? My favorite subject is. We'll personalize it, get it into students' real world. So student A would ask, Kathy, what's your favorite subject?
Chuck, my favorite subject is music.
I'm not surprised, okay. Okay,
So then Chuck says, Kathy,
Yeah,
please
Kathy, what's-
write your name here.
right.
And as you can see, this is going to be a bar graph. When we collect research or data, we need to start at the very bottom so that we can see how many people are interested in this subject. How many people like math? So when you're asking someone to write on your bar graph, you need to have them write at the very bottom. So we're going to stand up in just a moment, and we're going to have this conversation with at least 5 people. So you're going to ask, what's your favorite subject? You say yours, my favorite subject is music. Please write your name here, and then the other person asks, what's your favorite subject? Do you
Okay.
follow what to do? Okay. When we finish, it might be noisy. I'm going to use the slide whistle to get your attention.
Okay.
Okay.
Try to ask five people around you, okay?
Okay.
Please begin.
Please stand up and walk around. Meet some other people. You can stand up and walk around. At this point, you should stand up, stretch your legs a little. What's your favorite subject? My favorite subject is music. What's your favorite subject? My favorite subject is music. You can ask the people in front of you or behind you. Did you ask each other? Good. It's nice to see people standing up. Feel free to stand up and move around a little bit. What's your favorite subject? Did you get a lot of data? Okay, good. Can you ask 5 people?
All right, everyone, good. Now, all of you have done a little mini research project, right? And it's been done quickly because we only have an hour. However, in a classroom, if you have a group of 20 students, you can imagine that this could become a really interesting event where students are walking around and everyone would have to interview everybody else. By the end of this activity, you can imagine how well students can ask, what's your favorite subject? It's meaningful and it has a purpose. We always want English to have a purpose. So when students do this, they come up with some results. And so then we have something to talk about. So I know your research is very small, but based on your little research, what's the most popular subject in this room? Based on your research. Music, okay. Did anyone get a different result? Yes. Math, okay, there's a little bit of a math group over here. Art over here, yes. Pardon? Okay, social studies, great, excellent. So, suddenly we get to know each other, right? We get to know about each other as a class. This creates class cohesion as we get students to work together and talk about each other. We get rid of those little cliques and groups and shy students. We get students to think about themselves as a group and talking together. So that's the magic of it. Kathy's going to do something kind of fun with
I
this.
really want to see as a whole what we all really like. Now, if we had a small classroom, we could put these cards in different places around the room. But this is too big of a group. So we're going to do this by standing up. So let's talk about science. If your favorite subject was science, would you stand up and pretend to have a magnifying glass? So my favorite subject is science. Everybody stand up.
Who are the science people? Is
Stand
your
up.
favorite subject
Oh,
science?
I see a magnifying
Stand
glass
up.
there. Stand up and
If
show
your
us your
favorite subject-
magnifying glass.
Science, science.
Ah, beautiful.
Okay, there's a scientist in back.
Great.
Excellent.
Wow, great. Sit down.
Okay.
If your favorite subject was art, could you stand up and paint a picture for us? Please
Picasso.
stand up. Art.
Yeah. Okay.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Wow. Look
Look at all the artists.
Artistic people. Super. If your favorite subject was math, could you make your favorite number for us? maybe like my favorite number is 2. Oh, there, 0. Great. Show us math people, your favorite
Here's our
number.
math people. Okay,
Your favorite
0.
number.
Okay, that's an
Great.
easy number.
We'd ask you to do a math problem, but that might take us too long. Okay, if your favorite subject was music, can you pretend to get out your microphone and sing your favorite K-pop song? Ready? Music people, stand up. Wow, I love it. Wow, look at all the music people here. Great, great. If your favorite subject was social studies, could you stand up and make a globe for us?
Make a globe?
Social studies, beautiful. Stand up and make a big globe.
Or read a newspaper.
Or read a newspaper, super. And if your favorite subject was PE, can you stand up and jog in place? PE people. Wow, great. Thank you very much.
All right, well done,
I
everybody.
don't know if I could tell exactly. If you stand up, it's easier to see.
Yes,
But
that's
it looks
true.
like we're kind of balanced.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well done, everyone. So 21st century skills, we talked about this, getting students to work together meaningfully, using their thinking skills. So we're not just asking them to memorize, but actually to think about what we're teaching them, showing them how they can apply it to the real world around them. Good. All right, we've talked about vocabulary. Let's look at grammar a little more deeply. This is from everybody up level 3. As we move up the levels, as you can see, the vocabulary gets more complex. Instead of individual words, we're introducing phrases, verb phrases. These are chores that students can do at home or at school. They include sweep the floor, take out the garbage, clean the bathroom, wash the car, vacuum the carpet, and water the plants. That's a lot of language. It'll take some time for our students to learn that. But by level 3, they catch on quickly. Okay? So our first goal is to make sure they understand these terms, that they understand the words, the pronunciation, and so forth. And then we introduce, in activity B, some adverbs of frequency, as you can see. Always, usually, sometimes, and never. We apply that to the grammar model to say, I always sweep the floor, I never sweep the floor, and so forth. Now, students immediately will be able to relate to this, talking about themselves or their sisters or brothers or their parents. So, imagine that we've worked through this and we've gotten students to understand the concept, and so the comprehension is there. Now we're going to move up Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, so all of you should have a card, a larger card that we're going to ask you to write on, okay? Do you see it? Yep. Okay.
I'm prepared. Are you prepared?
I think you have my card, okay. Okay, thank you. Okay. On the card, we invite you to write one of those 6 activities. Now, don't just choose the one at the top. Choose one that's interesting. Anything you want to write, put on your card. Only one activity. Okay? We're going to tell you how to use it in a minute. Okay. It's usually 3 words or 4 words. Just write your activity.
Can you show us? Do you have it ready?
You have it? Show me.
Great. Perfect.
Lots of sheets. Good. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk to each other, of course. That's what we want to do. And it needs to be meaningful. So this is what we're going to do. Kathy's going to ask me about my chore. I'm going to ask Kathy about her chore. However, we're going to insert a frequency adverb, usually or always, based on our own experience, right? So water the plants. I'm going to ask Kathy, Kathy, what's your chore?
So my chore is clean the bathroom. Clean the bathroom. So Chuck, I always clean the bathroom.
I know.
I'm ready. Chuck, what's your chore?
I cleaned the bathroom last week, though.
I know
Actually.
you did. It was a really busy week at home.
This is too much information for you, we know. Okay. For a married couple. Okay.
What's your chore?
Water the plants. I always water the
I know
plants.
you do. I never water the plants.
Okay. All right. Now, after we've shared that, we trade. I say, let's trade. Now, suddenly, I have a new activity, and I look for a new person to talk to. And I say, what's your chore? And then I have cleaned the bathroom. So as we move around, we're going to only give you a minute or 2 to do this. As you move around, you're going to be using every phrase, hopefully, that's listed here, and also talking about your own personal experience. Okay? So take a minute, turn to the person to the left or to the right or behind you, and ask them, what's your
chore? And make sure that you use the frequency adverb that fits you.
Okay, go
let's
ahead.
begin. If you want to stand up and move around, please feel free to stand up and move around. short. Wow. I almost been in the bathroom too. That's great. What's your short? I always think that. That's great. That's your short. Hands on top.
That means stop.
Great.
Great. What a wonderful thing that we have to get, that the problem in our classroom is to get our students to stop speaking English. That's a pretty interesting thing. So you are all speaking English, we just need to move to the next activity.
We
That's
always
absolutely
hate
great.
to stop this because
And we hate
it's
to
so much
stop
fun.
it because you're doing so well. Okay, I'm going to look at sweep the floor. Can you tell me about sweep the floor using one of those adverbs?
I sometimes sweep the floor.
Okay, how many people sometimes sweep the floor? Okay, how many of you never sweep the floor? Okay, all right, good. So we can do this, we can play around with this, we can ask individual students to speak out, we can ask students to give us their feedback, and there's a lot of ways to build up this language, but working together like this is absolutely powerful. So thank you everybody, great job.
You know, these are simple things to do, right? Bringing in your gloves. These are actually Korean gloves. Aren't they fun?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't notice you
Yeah.
put on your
Okay,
gloves.
we did it.
We did it.
We did it today.
We did it. We did it.
Hip, hip, hooray. Good job, everybody.
Okay, we've hit the 15-minute mark for our, we have left. So we're going to move quickly through some of the other things that we're doing. Everybody up has 4 lessons, or basically 4 lessons per unit. Every third lesson is a story. We think stories are very powerful for a variety of reasons. First of all, stories contain social and functional language. This is language that we don't always teach through a normal grammar syllabus. So, how are you? I'm fine. And what's the matter? Things like that. So we can incorporate those into our stories. The vocabulary that we teach can be learned much more effectively in the context of a story instead of just this means this. So we can see it used meaningfully. Students can also read the story and express themselves through the dialogue of the story as well as the narration. And also stories are memorable. Students can take these home with them. They can read them at home. They can remember them. It helps to build language and imprint it in their memories. And everybody up, every story teaches a universal value. So we also have an opportunity to talk about kindness. Be kind, be patient, and so forth. So there's a universal value of every story. All right, Kathy.
So here's one of the stories from everybody up. And it's about Emma and Anne. Emma's the older girl, Anne is her little sister, and they're going shopping for a birthday present for their mom. And so when they're shopping, they have to always ask, excuse me, how much is da-da-da-da-da? And so they're asking that, and they realize at the end they really don't have enough money. And so they make something for Mom instead. And so they say, Mom, these are for you. Happy birthday. They're beautiful. Thank you. So the value in this story is to be thoughtful. It wasn't so important that they bought an expensive present, but it was important that they thought about what they bought or what they made. So when we do stories with my students, we usually read these stories together. The students can also listen to the CD. We can read it like a play. So you will be Emma, you'll be Anne, I'll be the shop clerk. And we practice reading with expression. We can add props and costumes, and we take it then out of the book. So I want to show you what my kids did, because they had so much fun with this lesson. So they decided they would set up a little store. So we took everything in the classroom. Oh, let's make a bookstore. So they put all the books that we had. Let's make a pet store. Maybe Mom would like a pet. Maybe Mom would like something from the restaurant or the grocery store. And so they walked around and they took turns being the customers. Excuse me, how much is this book? And then they made a price. Oh, it's 3,000 won. Oh, that's cheap. I'll buy that. So they had a lot of fun doing that, and it was a great way to take it out of the book. So you can look at all your stories and do things like that.
Exactly. Great. So, moving along, and much too quickly, after the story lesson in every unit, there is a CLIL lesson. And some of you may be familiar with CLIL, Content Language Integrated Learning. It's a very powerful device for bringing in 21st century skills into the classroom. Everybody Up offers a CLIL lesson with every single unit. And we really love our CLIL lessons because it gets students talking about things around them, the real world. For example, this is a focus on camouflage, the ability of nature to hide through color and through shape. So we talk about that, and before we do, we introduce a video. So we're just going to show you very quickly that in Everybody Up, we have this video support so that students can immediately focus on the subject, and they start to hear the target language through the video, the language they will eventually be speaking. So it goes like this, very briefly.
This is a snow leopard. What does it look like? It's brown, white, and black. Why does it look like this? It has camouflage. The snow leopard lives in the mountains. It's the same color as the snow and the rocks.
Okay, it's the same color as the snow and the rocks. So this is the target language that we're going to be using for our students. So they hear it passively first, and then we teach it. Now, in every CLIL lesson, you can see we introduce new vocabulary at the top of the page, and then we apply it to a reading. One of the important things to remember with a CLIL lesson is if you are going to use a reading, it should be within a student's ability to understand. So everything in this reading has been previously taught to our students in Everybody Up course, except for the new vocabulary. So the comprehension is quick. They learn it quickly, and we're just introducing the new vocabulary and a new grammar model, okay? The caterpillar is the same color as the stick. That's some big language, but that's the new language. After students do the reading, we check their comprehension at the top of the page, and then every CLIL lesson should do something with the information. It should give students an opportunity to organize the information in a meaningful way, in a graphic organizer. This particular chart gets students to think about which animals are camouflaged, how they camouflage themselves in nature. Here's a little bit bigger.
Page 31.
We're not going to play it because of time, but this is what we would be doing. This is the chart. Students listen, and then they decide what animal we're talking about, where they live, and how they camouflage. Okay? After students have done that,
Page 31.
Here we go. They talk about it. We give them an opportunity to discuss what they wrote. Very important. So at the final segment of a CLIL lesson, students are using the language meaningfully that they've been taught. Now obviously this is going to take an entire class period or more, but this is what we do and this is our goal. And so because we're using English meaningfully, it incorporates all those 21st century skills. Okay? We could do a whole talk on CLIL, couldn't we?
We could. We have
but
so many great CLIL lessons.
next time we're back here. Okay. All right. So Everybody Up, every 2 units also has a skills page. And in the skills page, we take apart the 4 skills. We focus on one topic, but we look at it in terms of reading it, writing about it, listening, and speaking about it. So we take it apart. Now this is a kind of special page for Kathy, so I'll let you talk about it.
This story is about Betty Miller. And Betty Miller happens to be my mom. And so for those of us who write textbooks, it's really fun because we can put things that are really important to us. So I'm really proud of my mom because my mom makes these necklaces that I'm wearing called necklaces of love. And we've been sending the money from these necklaces to needy families in Guatemala so that they can have homes, very simple homes to live in. This home happens to have a door that locks and a window. So that's a very humble home for them, but it's better than the things that they've been living in. So this story is actually a true story about the things that my mom does as a volunteer in her community.
Okay, good.
And then we follow up every 2 units. We bring all the information together in projects, and we love these new projects. So this is a project from level 6. You can see basically the 3 steps that the students do in the project. So there's a reproducible. The students will work in small groups, and they cut or you can cut these cards apart. And they're going to be thinking about, do I need this? Is this something I need, or is this something that I want? So they're going to divide them. So they would think like this. I think a laptop is a need. And they put it on under the needs column. I think a television is something that I want. It's a want. And so they divide them, needs and wants. Then they decide which one they think is more important. So then they reorganize them from the most important to the least important. So I think clean water is the most important need. I think that a laptop is less important. And they can always add their own ideas. Maybe in your classes you've talked about some community outreach projects, things that we really need. And so they can add those things into their list. Now, I don't know if you use smartphones or use iPads in your classroom, but you can have the students take a picture, screenshot of their group, and then they can walk around and compare. How was ours similar or different to the other groups? Now, we're thinking about level 6, so this is higher level language. So they walk around and compare, and then finally, they get together and they can present this to the entire class. So they can talk about why they put theirs, whatever was most important at the top. So we talked about wants and needs. We'll start with our needs, and then they explain it. So it's a great chance for students to practice their presenting skills as well as writing things down and communicating in that way.
Right, and every project incorporates what they've learned in the last 2 lessons, so it brings it all together, which is important.
And you can see those 21st century skills just coming together in these projects.
Exactly. Okay, so we're reaching the end of our workshop. Just to remind you that our teachers' books have a lot of resources for students and teachers, including interactive activities, online practice, videos, assessments. All of that's available to teachers. And we're going to finish with a song because songs are a very big part of Everybody Up. We had 4 professional songwriters write songs for this course. One is a Grammy Award winner, Julie Gold. The other group is Super Simple Songs, which are very popular throughout Asia and throughout the world. And here's one of our favorites, and we thought it was a great way to end our workshop. So, do you want to explain it, Kathy?
So, you're going to be on my team. Chuck's going to be by himself. So would you all would you get your microphone out and you're going to practice singing? And I think you should stand up because otherwise you won't be able to do this at your best. So can you stand up where you are? Oh, stretch a little bit because you didn't get to walk around much. So it goes like this. Singing, singing, singing. I've been singing all morning. Can you join me? Singing, 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 I've been singing all morning. You can dance in your spot. Dancing, 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 I've been dancing all afternoon. Your turn. Dancing, 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 I've been dancing all afternoon. Now look, exhausted.
You must be tired.
I sure am.
You should take a break.
I think you're right. Ooh, that was really good singing.
Wow, that's
and
really
then the
good.
second verse.
Oops, sorry.
That's okay. Oops. Second verse, you're going to walk. And if you want to walk somewhere, you can walk a little bit. And you can run. So it's walking, walking, walking. I've been walking all morning. Running, running, running. I've been running all afternoon. Look, exhausted.
You must be tired.
I sure am.
You should take a break.
I think you're right. Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Okay, here we go.
Okay, here we go.
Page 29.
Okay.
Sing.
Page 29.
Sing. Take a break.
Helps you to know that you're in the right place. Singing.
Singing, 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 I've been singing all morning.
Dancing, 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 I've been dancing all afternoon.
You must be tired.
I sure am.
You should take a break.
I think you're right. Walking. Walking, 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 I've been walking all morning. Running, 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 I've been running all afternoon.
You must be tired.
I sure am.
You should take a break.
I think you're right.
Great job, everyone.
We did it! We did it! We did it today! We did
everybody. So, we have had a lot of fun with you, and we hope we've been able to demonstrate how we do have amazing opportunities to get our students to work together, to use English meaningfully. And we hope we've inspired you to think of your own lessons, your own vocabulary, your own topics, and how you can get students to build those thinking skills and to work together and to use English meaningfully. We do have some support. Kathy, you want to mention this?
So if you'd like to stay in contact with us, we have some blog posts on the OUP site. And so if you don't know where to go there, please ask one of the OUP reps. We have some topics on 21st century skills, which I think are very helpful. We have a lot of videos about Everybody Up and Oxford Discover. So if you're looking to use those two titles in your class, please feel free to check those out. Our email address is magictimekids@gmail.com. Please feel free to contact us. We have a Facebook page with some of the music. The skeleton dance that we did is on that Facebook page. We have YouTube, we have LinkedIn, and academia.edu if you're interested in reading some more research.
And we want to mention we love using Everybody Up. We use it in our own classrooms, we use it with our own students, and so we absolutely love to see their progress. And so we'd love to hear from you and your own experiences with it too, and using 21st century skills in the classroom. So thank you so much for coming, everybody.
Thank you,
Enjoy the rest of your day. See you again.